Hey Vyom, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Rahul. I can hear you.
Uh, I can also hear you. Is my video visible to you?
Yeah, but it's still, I mean, it's stuck at a point.
I hope I have some network issue, but let's start, right?
Yeah, let's
So
start. Let's start.
hello everyone. Welcome to the first postcard of Open Source Cafe, and today we will be talking about how a beginner can start contributing to Checkstyle. So before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to Vyom Yadav. So Vyom got accepted in the Google Summer of Code this year in the Checkstyle organization. So Vyom, thanks a lot for joining our podcast. And the structure of the podcast will be the that Vyom will tell us about the Checkstyle organization, some best practices to contribute and communicate with the organization and mentors, and his experience of getting selected in the GSOC. And in the last 10 minutes, we will have a Q&A session where students can ask their doubts regarding the open source and Checkstyle organization. So, Vyom, would you like to tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself and your organization?
Yeah. Thank you, Rahul. That was a lovely introduction. Hi, guys. My name is Vyom, and I got selected in GSOC this year. I'm currently a sophomore, and I'm pursuing BTech in computer science, like every other engineer. And I have been associated with open source for quite a long time. It's been about 1.5 years, and that too not only with Checkstyle but with multiple organizations. And Checkstyle in particular has, it was my first organization, so it has a special place in my heart. And Checkstyle is basically a static linting tool for Java. If you don't know what that means, we'll explore that as the stream goes on. So stay tuned, guys. Yeah, over to you, Rahul. Rahul. Uh, So it seems like Rahul is having some network issues. No worries, no worries. Rahul?
Yes, Vyom, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you
Right.
now.
Uh, so,
Yeah,
those who don't know me, I'm Rahul, and I'll be collaborating with Vyom to improve Checkstyle this summer as a Google Summer of Course student. And I would highly like to give a little bit of a disclaimer that actions are really more valuable than word, especially when it comes to open source. So anyone who is spending all hours and hours giving you motivation and stuff, but unless you actually get involved, then it will happen. And this is what this video is all about. We are not here to motivate you. We are here to share about the best practices that we have used and our experience in open source, particularly with the Checkstyle organization. So Vyom, I would like to start this podcast with a basic question: that what do you mean by open source in general way?
so, good question, Rahul. So, open source is basically, I'll give start by giving an example, so it's more relatable. So, we all have been using VLC Media Player for a long time now, but have we ever thought that who is building that application, who is maintaining that? We are getting regular updates, but we do not know that who is building, who is solving bugs in that application. So VLC Media Player, like other organizations, is an open source project which people with whose code base is accessible to the public online. People can view its code base to check whether there is some security vulnerability or there is some bug. So it's publicly available to everyone. So open source is made by everyone and available for everyone. That's the basic spirit of open source. So Checkstyle is also such an open source organization. It has been around in the field around since 20 years now, more than 20 years now, and we have been continuously building and improving the project. Yeah, on to you, Rahul.
Yes, so that was great to know about open source, like your definition. So, uh, so like Vyom, how did you find the Checkstyle organization only?
So I mean, as I was learning Java, so I had this thing about me that I want to learn with by doing something, not only watching tutorials or building basic apps. I want to build something that is used by people online. So I stumbled across open source. Then I searched for Java open source projects. I got to know some projects, but those were not that active. Then I one day I stumbled across the GSOC page. I scrolled down and came across the Checkstyle organization. Actually, the organization is quite well structured. So there are good first issue, good second issues. That makes it very easy for me as a newcomer to approach to the project, even if I don't know what's happening, because the new good first issue or the good second issues, they're quite easy to solve, and it makes it very easier for a newcomer, because you can get overwhelmed by the large code base. So it makes it very easy, those types of issues. So that's how I found Checkstyle, and I've been stuck since then. Yep.
Right. So, Vyom, you told that Checkstyle is a Java development tool
Static
that
netting tool.
adheres to
Yep.
yes, that adheres to some
Yes.
Java coding standard, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
like, what is your experience with your first open source contribution in Checkstyle, and what all tech stack does Checkstyle use? Is it only Java?
Okay, okay. So I'll explain on that. Actually, my first contribution, you might not believe it. I made my first contribution by, I downloaded the whole code base. I used the Git terminal in Windows, and I cloned the repository. Then at that time, I didn't know that how to open the project in Eclipse. So I opened a particular file in Notepad, made some changes, went on the terminal and compiled those changes, and then checked everything is all right, and made my first pull request. So my first pull request was basically writing code in Notepad, then pushing it online. So since then, like my first contribution, I'll just share my screen to show how my first contribution was. So like we are right now on the Checkstyle GitHub page. So if we go on to the merge pull request and search for my first contribution, and it will show that my first contribution on the pull request, it was quite basic. What I did was I went to the organization, went through the labels. Then there is this good first issues. I picked one of them. There are 15 of them right now. So these are like update documentation for a particular, a particular check. So in this example, like the mentor has stated that this is the check and its documentation needs to be updated. So what the check does is that it takes some Java code and fires some warnings. So like you can see this issue is open right now and there is just one example. So the issue is about creating more examples. So this was the first issue that I created. Well, these were the types of issues that I solved initially. And since then, I upgraded to another issue, to the next levels, GSOC second issue, third issue, and since then I've been contributing.
Right. So, Vyom, you told that you started your open source contribution with Notepad, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's really unbelievable to know that a student starting from Notepad is currently in GSOC. But that was great to know about your journey.
Uh,
So, yes, Vyom, can you tell us that uh, like its actual code base? Like, every open source organization has a big, large
mhm.
code base,
Yeah,
and students
yeah,
often get overwhelmed after seeing that code base. That how can I understand the whole code base, right? And
yeah,
please explain us some documentation that Checkstyle use, so that if a student who want to know more about Checkstyle, then they can uh, check those documentation to get familiar with Checkstyle.
yeah. So, like, I'll share the code base right now. Is my screen visible?
Yes, your
Like,
screen, it was
I'll share it
visible.
again. Yeah, I'll share it again. Just give me a moment. Yeah, cancel. So, basically, I'll share my screen right now, guys. Just give me a moment. Streamlab is giving me some issues. Okay, so just give me a second. The textile code base, it is actually pretty big right now, and it has been developed for more than 20 years. So just give me a second. I'll share the actual code base so that you guys can see what it actually looks like. Yep. Now we are in sharing mode. Hopefully it's visible right now, guys. Yeah, Rahul, is it visible? Chat, is it visible?
No, it's yes, it
Search
is
for my
visible.
first. Yeah, yeah, it's visible, right? So, like we can see that the code base. This is just the outer files, not the in inner directories. So the code base is quite huge. But one thing about open source that I like to tell is that you need not know everything to solve a thing. You need not to solve a problem. You need not know how the whole code base works. So, for example, the source folder is the main folder for Java projects. So we go into the source folders, then the main, because here the checks are right now. So we can see there are ton of checks. So you do not need to know everything about each and every check to solve a issue. Suppose there is a check called no clone check Java. So what this check basically does, it's mentioned in its documentation, and the check is quite simple. So you can see right here that the check is just a few lines, rest is all documentation. The actual logic is quite small. So to fix, these small problems, these can be easily fixed by anyone. So do not be overwhelmed by the code base. It is huge, but I would recommend that use some IDE or use some code editor that would make it easier to navigate through the code base. Many times I've seen that students are not able to find the files, like which file should I change. So which file you should change, there's a trick in GitHub also. Like I want to change some check name. So suppose the check is name unused local variables. So like it just pops right up here that unused local variable check, and though this check is quite huge, but you can use any in-id tools, or you can do system search to find the files which you need to change. Because you need not change everything. And one more thing that I like to add on here is that whenever you are solving a particular type of issue, suppose good first issues only, then make sure you go through the closed issues as well, because the closed issues are solved and there is probably a pull request related to it. Like this is the pull request related to it. So you can see that what the pull request was and what changes were made. So actually there are a lot of good first issues, like 284 good first issues are there. So it would be easier for you guys to understand how the code base works, because there are a lot of examples. There's a fixed template for these good first issues, good second issues, though the actual content may vary, but there's a fixed template. So it would make it easier for you to navigate the code base, and you won't feel overwhelmed by the code base. Yeah, I mean, that's what I follow, and that's what you should follow as well.
Right. Right. So to give a summary, you told that whenever we try to find a good first issue, we should also check the close issue so that we can get familiar with we can take reference from the close issue. It might
Yeah,
be get
absolutely,
similar, right?
absolutely.
And can you please tell us about the documentation, like the ASTs, that good first issue, so that
Yeah,
like we have a lot of ASTs examples.
yeah. So right now I am at the AST only, and I'll go through some of the closed issues. So the issues is that go through the documentation. The first link needs to be extended to show example of AST. So what is basically AST? Checkstyle, the Java, it takes in what Checkstyle basically does is that it takes in Java source code. It parses it as an AST, abstract syntax tree. It's nothing, it's just a fancy name for a tree. So it parses it, and then you have to perform some operations on the tree to show what's happening. So that's what basically an AST is. And updating AST, the example, I'll show you how it's done. So somebody commented that he's on that issue. We go to the merged pull request, so we can see that how he updated the AST. So this is the command that he ran, java jar -c test.java. So then he searched the AST, copied the code, and then fixed it. And I'll show you the actual code as well. So you can see that the example of urinary minus operators are updated. So unary minus operator that we use to minus mathematical expressions. So its example for was updated, and there are a ton of issues like these. And one more thing is that when you go to the Wikipedia page of an organization, and this page is super important, as because this page has almost everything that you would need, from GSOC, ideas, project ideas, to everything you need. So there is a, like Rahul talked about AST, there is a particular page, good practice on how to update AST in token types. You go through this page. Now every detailed instructions are mentioned here, what you should do and what examples you should use and how you should make. So go through go to this wiki page, go to merged PRs, and take a reference from those to see how the revisions were made, or how, sorry, how revisions were made, and how the how the AST was updated. So this is a very useful page for newcomers. I'll suggest is that you go through the wiki page, see all the options, like all the pages here, because explore that what Checkstyle does, and application template is also here. How to make a release. GSOC first issues are also here. Like first issue display, in detail mentions about first issues. So the wiki page is quite helpful, and you should really go if you're a newcomer. You should really go through most of these links to see what Checkstyle does and good examples and everything else. Yeah, Rahul.
So, Vyom, can you please explain the above bar, like the code, issues, pull request, discussion? What are these things of a particular
Also,
organization?
yeah, so they are quite self-explanatory. Code is basically the code of the organization. Like it's not like your IDE, but it has parsing for most of the extensions GitHub. So this has all the code, like the name suggests. Issues is that the open issues and the closed issues. And one thing in particular about Checkstyle is that if you're a newcomer, focus on issues that are approved, and do not focus on issues that are not approved, because if an issue is not approved, that means that either it has not come under it has not been examined right now, or it is discussion is ongoing on that. So if you're a newcomer, go to approved issues and try to solve those issues. And then there are pull requests. Pull request is what you basically make to an organization because you do not have access to the main branch, or even if you had, it's a good habit to make a pull request. And one more thing about pull request: never make a pull request from the master branch. Always create a branch, then make a pull request. This is what I initially did, and then I realized that that's not the right thing to do, because that concises you to only one branch. Because if your master branch, if you made some changes on master branch and those are under examination right now, you cannot make any other changes because you would check out from the master branch that would have your previous changes. So never make changes to the master branch. Always make a branch and then make a pull request. The next tab we come on to is discussions. Suppose somebody's asked a question, forbid empty lines at start and end. So this is discussion, like general discussion. Somebody can ask questions similar to what Stack Overflow does. So this is that only, but it's for GitHub, right? And this is particular to an organization. Now the actions tab, like when you are, suppose you are new and you have made some changes to the code base. Now how would you verify that those changes are correct or not? So actually there is a command, because Checkstyle use Maven, there is a command called mvn clean verify. So that verifies all the code base, whether Checkstyle uses a lot of tests, integration testing, then there are a lot of unit testing, then there are a lot of aspects, BDD. So Checkstyle does all those testing to verify whether your code base is right or not. And what actions basically is those checks running in cloud. Like there's a check for ptest. Now ptest, what if you don't know right now, don't worry, it's just a kind of test that runs over code base. So actions are, these are basically GitHub actions that are running on the code base to check the code. After that we come on to projects. Projects are what if you are adding a new feature, you'll most likely make a project. So right now if we go there, 10 closed projects. So this is the project for last year's GSOC. So these were the issues solved, a review in progress. So this is only I have seen this only being utilized at the time of GSOC, or if we are trying to add a new feature. Next, I already told about the wiki page, that like it has all the relevant information that you need. Coming on to security page is the security overview of the organization. So there was one security advisory, so which is also mentioned here. You may go through it. XML, external entity processing. So this was something about it. And the last is insights. So insights is basically shows you the pulse, the contributors, like how many people have contributed how much to the organization. Like you can see Mr. Roman has contributed around 2646 commits and such a huge amount of code. And you can see scroll down. So this is basically, you can feel proud about it if your name's over here. Many of you might be over here. So this basically shows how many commits you made, how many lines you added and deleted. And there are numerous other insights features like dependency graph, commits, community standards, pulse. So yeah, these were about all the top bar things that you need to know if you're new to open source or GitHub in general. Yeah, Rahul.
The actual code base and all the things of
Mhm.
Checkstyle. So moving forward, like Vyom, how did you make your connections with mentors, and like how can you ask questions when you are stuck somewhere. Like, what are the best practices to communicate with the mentors in the community?
So basically, when you go to the Checkstyle page, like I'll show you right here only, guys. You go to the wiki page, and there is support by mail lists. So this mentions, general discussions over here, release notifications over here, and for developers over here. And there is plus when you go to the code base, you can go down and you can see members chat, contributors chat, Gitter, and the Checkstyle mailing list. So basically, when basically what we follow in Checkstyle is that if we go, to any issue, suppose GSOC first issue, and pick up any issue, there are some comments over it. So you make a comment, make a comment, I am on it, and send a pull request. So when you make the comment on it, that is indirectly assigned to you. It is not assigned from over here, but it is assumed that the issue is assigned to you, and the one who comments I am on it first gets the issue. Other than the, if you comment on the second, you won't get it, even if you have solved the issue, the person who has commented first. So this is basically how assignment of issues work in Checkstyle, because there are a lot of issues, and to go through every issue and see that, to assign a person, it's quite tedious. So we follow this convention in Checkstyle. After that you make a pull request. So in pull request, basically, suppose there is a pull request solving something, so you get reviews from the mentors. Now you might not directly contact, might not directly contact the mentors, because they would review your PR and tell what's wrong in your PR. Suppose Mr. Nick told that please separate fields by empty line, so, and he replied done. So these are the type of reviews that you will receive. If you have something, you wish to know, then you can always go over to Gitter, which is, the Checkstyle mailing list, Checkstyle chat, and there you can see like people have asked some errors, and then others have replied how you could solve that error. So if you're having any difficulties or anything, then you could go over to here. And also, as if you're new to the organization, drop come in the Gitter chat, drop a hi, we would be more than happy to help you or to help you set up. So that is basically how I contacted. After that, whenever I faced a problem, it was mostly in pull requests that they replied how to solve the problem, or in the review panel, how to solve a problem or what issue that I'm facing right now. The time that I had to go to personally contact mentors, I think it was not I did not contact them very much personally, because they replied in the review section only, and after that which I was able to resolve the issue. But nevertheless, if you face any error or any problem, you can always go to the Checkstyle and you can message mentors, like if you can message Mr. Roman or any other mentor, and they will surely help you out. So that is basically what you should do, to introduce yourself to the mentors or to ask doubts. Yeah, Rahul. Yeah,
So, like, my network is
yeah,
stable now. So,
yeah.
can you
Congratulations.
please can you please tell me that how Checkstyle selects students? Like, what is the process of the mentors that they get some confidence that yes, this is the right student to get them select for Google Summer of Code. So, as a student, how did you made it confidence to the mentors that yes, I'm the right student to get selected for Google Summer of Code?
Okay, good question, Rahul. So basically, what I did in this is that I contributed as much as I can. I, helped newcomers, contributed in, made pull requests and solved new issues. So this is basically what I followed to, connect to them, contribute more, and to show that I'm a potential candidate for GSOC. And what I had in my mind was that I want to collaborate and build something that is useful for all. So that is basically what I had in my mind at that time. And Checkstyle, how it does select, I mean, I'm not in the selecting committee right now, but I feel how they select is that as much as your contribution definitely makes an impact. So for instance, if I'll share my screen once again, I'll show you exact pages where it has been mentioned. So right now I'm sharing my screen. So if we go to the wiki page again, and there is a page called to participant of GSOC. Let me just navigate through to participant of GSOC. Yeah, to GSOC participant, right? So like they only clearly mentioned that thanks for interest in a project. And before you send us a proposal, we start discussion on any task. You need to prove your experience in technologies that we use. We use, Java, Maven, Antler, and many other stuff. So when you need to start to prove your experience, so like it mentions, you need to resolve issues. So as it mentioned, first issue, choose from this list, then second issues, then third issues, and then these are just some general rules to help you, focus on pull request, focus on quantity rather than quality, because you cannot have more than 3 PRs opens, and you cannot have more than 6 issues that are assigned to you. So basically, these are what Checkstyle looks, and as a matter of fact, how it selects. I think quality and quantity both play a role. You should have substantial contribution in the code base, and the quality should also be good. And of course, your proposal that you send to the organization, it should be relevant, and anything that you add in the proposal, mentors usually provide feedback to that. So listen to that feedback, improve your proposal, and that's how basically any organization in my mind would select a student. Yeah. Rahul, you are muted right now.
Right. Right, Vyom.
Yeah.
What if I created a proposal and I don't have
uh,
enough contribution in the organization? So will my proposal
okay.
get reviewed by the mentors?
See, if you have proposals, I mean, Checkstyle, if they would select each and every proposal, but GSOC, Google Summer of Code has certain limitation that you only get these many slots to select students, and you can only select these many students. So if you have contributed to the code base, they will look at the proposal even if you have not contributed to the code base. But to make an impact, to make a statement, it is better that you contribute to the code base, so that the mentors know that what is your capability and how diverse you are in solving issues and other matters. But if you have slight number of contributions is slightly less, then also I would suggest that go for it. There's no harm in trying, and you learn only out of that something.
So
You
Vyom,
learn something out of that.
we are talking about the proposal thing. What is actually the proposal, and what are these projects that we are creating the proposal for? Can you please tell us about it?
Yeah.
And can you, if it is possible, can you please show your proposal?
Yeah, I'll show my proposal as well.
Right.
Just give me a second. So basically, what projects we are doing is that, again, this wiki page is super important, guys. It has most of the information that you would need. You just need to scroll like the 37 pages. So there is something useful in there. So coming to the project, so these are the project ideas that Checkstyle specifies for GSOC 2022. You can go over these links. Suppose autofix module, the first one only. So it tells about the skills, the project type, goal, size, mentors, description, and more details. Suppose at this issue, there are more details about this. So you can read all this. Like you can see that why this converted to a project, because it had a huge response. Like 10 people upvoted it that this should be something that is in the project, right? So these are basically the projects. And whenever you start making a proposal, like, go through other GSOC proposals also. What I also did is that I went through previous year GSOC proposals, and then I formed a proposal of mine, which I'll show you right now. So basically this was how my proposal looked like. So we go to the top. Now it is a bit bright. Some of you might not like it, those who like dark theme. But anyhow, so like we come on to the proposal. Basic information about you, about me, what I am, how what I'm doing right now. So the project details, the project that I am doing this year is, I'll show you the project. It is practice what you preach. Actually, it is a project that in which our project goal is improving the automation of code review, and we would try to improve the code quality of Checkstyle. Like Checkstyle is a tool that helps you to adhere to coding standards. So we at Checkstyle also want to adhere to those standards, and we ourselves will improve our code quality so that we maintain that standard. So this was basically my project. Then there are technical aspects associated with it, like what we will do, and these are the goals that I in mind that I need to do. So these are basically the project details. Then I come on to the project timeline. See, why you should make a timeline like this is that it is easier to because it is easier to read for humans, and it's not very difficult to see what's happening over here, like what I have proposed and what I'll be doing. So it's quite simple, and you can easily take I will share my proposal on the Code Cafe's GSOC page, like GSOC proposals repository. From there you can reference. So basically this is the proposed work that I'll do in this period. So I have done this, and then the technicalities. Then I have explained in detail like what would I do in this period. Like if I mention a task, like I've mentioned a task over here. uh, it is PTest. Yep. Extend user PTest to all. PTest is a kind of test to all active mutators. Just extend the test to do more things. Basically, that's what we are doing right here. So I said that I'll do this and this, but details. Your proposal should be detailed so that they know what is going to happen. So these are the details that I mentioned. So what the basically, if you want a template, I mentioned timeline, and that timeline has sort of summary of what I'll do. Details are down in the when you scroll down, you'll find the details about each and every task that I did. And in the end, my mentors told me that mention all the commits or all the pull requests that you made to the project. So these are the list of them all. And there's a page after GSOC, what would you do? So don't worry, I'll share my proposal on the Checkstyle GitHub page. Sorry, not Checkstyle, Decode Cafe's page, and from there you can reference it.
Right. We also saw that in your proposal there were some comments. Can you tell us what
Yeah,
are the
yeah, yeah, those are super important. Like what is the basically the spirit of open source is that you make some changes, then people reply to that, like you should do that, do this, or they review it. So this is basically the reviewer that they
like
did.
to
So
iterate the project more
yeah.
specific, right?
So yeah, what you should do, I mean, like I made a proposal. These were the idea that would make a proposal better. So like Mr. Roman added a message here that think about how to fix violation by multiple PRs by concept, and he added a review basically. And then I added the section for that. I replied that I added a section for that. Similarly, Andre also added a review that can you provide some examples. So this is basically the spirit of open source, that I do something and people provide feedback, then I improve, and then it is ready to publish or ready to be in production. So that is basically what these reviews are. And the more there are, the better it is, because it means that you have scope of improvisation here. And that's how basically I improved my proposal to be better, to get selected.
Right, Vyom.
Yep.
Thank you for the detailed introduction about proposals.
No
So,
problem.
Vyom, you showed the Wikipedia of projects, and it was written intermediate Java on your project, right? So, the thing is, when we see that yes, it is intermediate Java, we think that yes, the whole project only uses intermediate Java. But so my question is, uh, after you got the project, you understood that yes, there are more than 10 tools that you need to learn. There are many different tech stacks that you need to learn now so that you can contribute to the projects. So my question is, do you need to know everything beforehand before the project, or you can learn by doing? You can like start learning and like contribute to the project, or you should learn before the project and then you should contribute. What are your best practices to do this?
So, Rahul, basically, you did, like I mentioned earlier, also, like right now, there's a question by someone that where do we learn contributing to open source, and can you suggest us some resources? So, resources, like if you want an organization, I'll answer her question first. So, if you want an organization, there are many places to look. You can go to the GSOC page, or to the LFX20 page, or just search. If you're having some tech stack, just search for open source project in this field, or in. And one more important thing is that if you actively use GitHub, now GitHub has some intelligent features that tells you the if you are contributing some certain language, they'll tell you, like it's in beta right now. I'll share my screen so that I'll address your query better. So just give me a second. Yeah, so is my screen visible, guys? Right. So I'll just, so for data, if you if we go in this it so like if you go down there, there's a tab called explore repositories. So right now it's showing me Java repositories because I'm more interested in Java. So these are the repositories that's showing me right now. So this is a very good feature of GitHub that is allows you to the trending repositories are right here, trending developers are right here. Here's what we found based on interests. So you just customize it a bit, and you'll get recommendations, and you'll choose something out of it. And if you do not want you're on GitLab or on some other platform, you can just go to the GSOC organizations page. So program organizations in GSOC, because GSOC has been going for such a long time, these are the current organizations that you can search for. And suppose if I want to do an end user applications, so I mentioned about video and VLC media player, KDE community, the desktop environment for Linux, and Electron and image manipulation and Joomla and many more are there. So you can just go to the suppose I go to the KDE community page, right? So Google Summer of Code organization page. So it mentions the technologies that you should know, the topics, and what are these. Now the projects have been announced. So these are the selected students. Congratulations to them. So it mentions basically what the project does, and there's a link to project website. You go to KD website, you see that what it does, and that's in general how you would find projects. And if we go how I found Checkstyle, we just type Checkstyle in here. There is the project. So you basically go see the technologies, Java and Antler. There are many more, but these are more than sufficient to get you started on the project. And it mentions about, we go to the Checkstyle organization page, we can read more. So this is basically how I would how I explore projects. And there is one more very useful tip, is that you can go to the past programs. So like GSOC has been going for a long time, so you can go to the past programs to see all the organizations that came in before these organizations. There might be new organizations, or there might be some organizations that are not there right now. So these are a lot of resources to get you started to contributing to open source.
Right.
Yeah.
I would like to add more on that question that there is no course for contributing to open source. You have to use documentation and you have to learn skills to contribute, because every issue has new issue because a
Yeah.
person already faced that issue. We can't always make a course on something because we never know what an issue come tomorrow, right?
Yep.
So
Exactly.
there is no course for open source contribution, but there are course for skills. So I believe that first you need to learn skills, then need to explore Google, because Google and these developer forums like Stack Overflow, Reddit, and Dev.to have all the answers that you need, right?
Yep.
So
Exactly.
that was it, and uh, yeah,
Yeah. Your question. Yep. Yeah.
yes,
Go ahead,
this
Rahul.
right.
Yeah, so I believe your question was that you were asking about the tech stack, right? Where I learned what were the resources that I used. Was that the question?
My question was, how did you like? What is your best practice to learn? Like, if you are contributing to an open source project, do you need to know everything before contributing to open source project, like every tech stack about it, or you can do simultaneously? You can like learn by doing things.
Yeah, I got you. So basically, you do not. First of all, the short answer is that you need not know everything to solve a problem. That is basically what open source is about. So initially, I only knew Java. So I, when I dropped a hi in the mailing GitHub chat, I said that I know only Java, and I got a reply that Java is more than sufficient for now. So basically, how you would learn more skills is that whenever you make some changes in the code base, like GSOC first issue, then GSOC second issue, so gradually the level and the skills would increase. So the GSOC first issue, it might only use Java or something a bit more than Java, but other than that, when you go to GSOC second issues or GSOC third issues, they would use more technologies. So basically, a technology that Checkstyle uses extensively. I'll share my screen to. It is one of the part of GSOC third issues. So I'll show right now. So it's called PITest. PITest, right? So when I go to the, when I search about it, when I landed on the page. So what is PITest? PIT is a state-of-art mutation testing system, and about PITest, it mentions here what is mutation testing. So basically, if I have to explain mutation testing right now, I'd say that it is nothing. We modify something in the code base, and to see that we suppose if I modify something and it's not the correct modification, then something should fail. We have unit tests; those tests should fail. But if those tests don't fail, that means that there is a mutation. Like I did something wrong in the code base, then also everything is, all the test cases are passing. Similar to competitive coding, like if I have a code, I have a program, and the logic is correct for now. But if I change something in that logic, then also all the code, all the cases are passing, and these mutations are not really changing anything. So if there is a condition, if x is greater than y, it would change to if true, so that if block is always executed. So there's a kind of mutation, so that when this happens and all the tests are passing, that means there's something wrong with the test. You need to add more test cases. So these are basically the smaller technologies that you have to learn on the way. And of course YouTube, Stack Overflow, and these all resources are really good for them. And you should go with the flow. That's what I believe. That if you are if you are on some PR and there's a technology that you're not aware about, read about it, give it a try, and then you see where you land up with that. And if you have some problems, contact in the mailing list, contact on Gitter. We'll be more than happy to help you. So that is
Yes,
basically what I follow.
right. I still remember PTS became one of my nightmare in issues, right?
Okay,
So
no
let's
problem.
continue.
Yeah, sure.
So, Vyom, can you tell me that why is it important to contribute to open source as a student? Oh, before that, there's a question we can take that,
Okay.
right? So, how many organizations should I target, right? And whether a particular will, right? So, first thing
Okay.
that we, yes, would you like to
Yeah,
take on
no,
that?
go on. No, no, you
Right.
go
So,
on, roll.
right. I believe that we never know that which organization will come next year because it's totally dependent on Google and the organization. But what we have is that the correct right mindset that Vyom will tell about how to have a right mindset in the next few questions. So I believe that we never know. We can just check previous organization that took part in the Google Summer of Code and different programs, so that we can like take an understanding of will this participate or not, or we can talk to our mentors about this. But I believe that your mindset should not to like crack these programs. Once you contribute to open source, you will indirectly get many opportunities, right? Once you do quality contributions, after some time you will surely get opportunity. And Vyom, would you like to add something on that?
Yeah, so basically, you do not know that which organization will come this year, but you can go through the previous year's organization. If an organization has been participating for many years, then it is more likely that it would participate the next year too. A message in the see your mindset to contribute it to any organization should not only be limited to GSOC. Yes, GSOC is a great program, and you should take a part of it. You should take part in it, but your mindset should not be only limited to GSOC. Like when I started contributing to Checkstyle, my mindset was to, I want to learn something new and I want to enhance myself as a programmer. So it was not only limited to GSOC. Even if GSOC was not there and I stumbled across this organization, I would still be contributing. And GSOC is a good program, and you should take part in it, but do not go with the mindset like I want to target some particular organizations in GSOC. Contribute to open source in general, because suppose you are writing to some organization in GSOC. If you have contributed some other organization previously and that organization is well known but it does not participate in GSOC, that would also make an impact in the current organization, that yes, you have experience with open source and you can solve real problems. And the question that how many organizations should I target, it depends on you. You can target two, you can target three, or you can go with a single one also. But to be on a safer side, like I went with two organizations, one Checkstyle and there is another organization. So basically, you should go from anywhere between one to two. It depends on you basically. If you are sure that organization will come this year, stay on one. If you are not sure, then go on two or three or increase the number. So that's how basically I did it, and it's up to you if you want to do it right.
Right,
Yeah.
Vyom. So the next question is like, please tell us other programming programs, right? So yes, we'll come back to this question. This can be a next question, but before that, Vyom, can you tell us that how this open source is different from internship, and like what are the differences? Like lots, which is good. I'm talking about how what are the difference between an internship and open source programs?
Okay, so basically, I'll start with this. So open source is, an internship can also be in the open source domain. That's one thing. But let's start first with open source. So open source is basically these are public code bases that are available. If you face some error, you can go and fix it. If you have an issue, you can go and get it registered. So it's project built by everyone for everyone. That's basically open source. And coming back to the internship point, so internship basically, these are paid or unpaid. You work with a company to solve a problem or solve a particular project. So that's what basically you do in internship. And internship in open source is also a thing. Like Viral is asking other programs like GSOC. So there's a program called LFX Menti. So it is an internship program only, 3 months or 12-week internship, and it's on open source projects, the Linux Foundation projects that are open source, LF networking projects. So those are other open source projects in which you could intern. And to the point that whether you should do internship or open source, I suggest you go for both. Both would really give you a rich experience, and it would be good to enhance you as a programmer, and the learning experience would be great.
Right, that was really great. Like, if I talk about internship and open source, is that internship is something which you get after you have some certain skills and certain tech stack, and if the tech stack matches to those companies, that they hire you. But open source is something that you don't need to know everything beforehand. You can learn by doing, and you can like contribute to open source. You can talk to the mentors. So if I just talk about the programs that Viral asked, it is like Google Summer of Code. We have many new programs like Major League Hacking, that is MLH, which gives different open source tracks. We have Linux Foundation that Vyom told. We have also Facebook has also its open source thing right now, and there are many other programs you can just check out on the Google. Google is everything. So we have done some another question, like if you list some open source programs. Yes, these are the things: Google Summer of Code and LFX Menti.
Yeah, and one more GitHub externship is also there, and there's you could go for Microsoft. Microsoft has some program. I'm not currently able to recall its name, but it also has some program, and there is Outreachy. There is what else is there? There's Outreachy and MLH you mentioned, right? And there is season of KDE, and Google Summer of Docs is also there. So there are a lot of open source programs that you would apply to. So I mean, this is just a Google search away, top open source programs. You could Google it and
Right,
you would get the answer, right?
or we can make a video on that in the future time.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
sure, sure.
Yes. So Vyom,
Yeah.
see, if I'm contributing to an open source project and if I don't get selected to Google Summer of Code, then should I stop contributing? And what if I don't get selected to Google Summer of Code? What are your take on that?
So, first of all, if you don't get selected for GSOC, don't be disheartened. GSOC is not everything. And to be honest, I did not apply last. This is my first time applying for GSOC. I did not apply last year because I knew my chances were really scarce. So even if I've been going for a long time right now, so don't be disheartened. Keep contributing, and if you want to switch organizations or explore something new, that is also really good because you will learn something new. But do not quit on open source in general if you are not selected for GSOC, because GSOC is just a program. There are a lot of programs. I have got selected for GSOC. I might get rejected for some program. That doesn't mean I'll just stop contributing to open source. So do not stop because of any program, or contribute to open source because you want to collaborate and explore new things and enhance yourself. That should be your goal, to contribute to open source. Money is important, like GSO provides stipend, but do not just go after money or that aspect for any program. You should go for the skills and the things you learn in that program. So that's basically what you should do if you don't get selected to GSOC.
Right. So that was really great to know about your experiences in Checkstyle organization, Vyom. And I hope
Yeah,
students got to learn more about the open source. So now let's have some question and answers time, so that if anyone
yeah,
has
sure,
any
yeah,
doubts, they can ask in the
yeah.
YouTube comment section, and we will try our best to answer that on the basis of our experience. So if anyone of you have any question, you can start asking that. I believe there are no more questions. Uh,
Yeah,
there is one question from my side. Well,
yeah, yeah. Go on,
oh,
go on.
there's a question. Yes, just a minute. Checkstyle uses which tech stack? Yes, Vyom.
So, yeah, so Checkstyle uses which tech stack. So basically, what is mentioned on our GSOC page is Java and Antler. But I would not really consider this tech stack that something you need to learn. I think this is something that you can learn on the go. Like unit testing, you can learn on the go. JUnit. You do not know. You need not be an expert in those domains to contributing to Checkstyle in particular. But I feel that to begin, Java is more than sufficient. Rest you would pick up as you progress. So that is basically, you need not know, go through 10 courses to prepare for contributing to Checkstyle. That's not required. Java is sufficient. And if you want to get into the parsing part, how the source code is parsed and grammar is generated from it, then Antler is a must for that. And Antler plus Java, actually we use both. Antler for making a dictionary, and Java for parsing that Java source code that Antler uses. So tech stack are limited to this only. But the more there, if you have any more technologies, there are quite a few. You could just learn it on the way. There are pit tests, and then you will face some errors if do some things, initially make some pull requests. But those are the things that I don't consider in tech stack right now, because those are the things that can be acquired, that are not in the core of the project, like CI/CD, GitHub Actions, these smaller things. You need not be expert in those fields to start contributing. Java is more than sufficient. Stick with Java. That's what I'll say.
Yes, and I'll take it if I'll speak about those tech stack. I believe that Java and Antler are something which are just the code base part, like and all other things are just the tools. For example, if I'm contributing to any issue, and if I found that yes, it is using ptest, so I have to learn ptest, right? And if I got to know that yes, in this my mentor told me that you have to first verify it with I mean clean verify. So I have to learn Maven clean verify just to contribute to this issue. So Java is a basic part of the actual code base. It's like the code, actual code base is based on Java, but these are the tools that we need to learn by hand so that we can contribute more to the open source. For example, if I found a CI issue, then I need to learn about CI. I need to learn about shell script. I need to learn about YAML files. I don't need to learn this beforehand, but when I found this issue, then I can start contributing with the help of learning these issues, right? Yes. So, Vyom, we have the other another question there. If AWS would be good field for GSOC,
I mean, I am into cloud computing right now, but I am into Azure, not AWS. So sorry, I'm AWS lovers. So would it be a good field? Like, this question depends on the organization. Suppose, like, I just told you, like, I'll share my screen again. So let's just share my screen again and see whether it would be good or not. Let's go to the GSOC page. Like, I don't have answer for this question, but this is how basically I'll search about it. So you go to the GSOC page, the organization, all 2020. So you go to, yeah, AWS. You need to you need to go into the cloud computing area, right? So these are the infrastructure and cloud organizations. You go through these organizations, like CNCF is there. So let's see. I doubt that it uses AWS. Yeah, it does not. So you go through these organizations. Open Robotics doesn't. Eclipse doesn't. So
like
Unicraft, you can check.
investigation is important to
Yeah,
understand this
investigation
process.
is important. So like this, I mentioned cloud. I do not know which cloud platform it uses. Actually, Checkstyle also uses AWS, but it has nothing in which you could contribute significantly. But see, I search AWS, six results showing AWS. I go to Metacall, this organization, and it hasn't mentioned AWS. It has mentioned cloud. So it might have mentioned over somewhere over here AWS. No, it has not. So you need to, basically, like this, go on the GSOC page, search for organizations, and see if anyone uses AWS or the tech stack that you are currently working on. So that is basically how I would do it and how you should do it, right?
The next question is, what's a message for novice in the open source world? Now, like me, who started
No,
asking these questions, right?
you are
So,
not naive, Rahul, and don't be modest. You are not naive. You are quite experienced at this stage. You're also G Soccer along. Guys, he is also, doing GSOC with the same organization as I am. So I can also interview him. It's one and the same thing. So coming back to the question, what's your message for novices? So my message for them is to don't get disheartened if you are facing a lot of errors, because when I start to contribute, there were a lot of red check marks. Red check marks is that everything is failing, tons of things are failing, and I'm not able to understand what's failing. So that might dishearten you that everything is failing. I cannot do open source. It's very tough. So don't worry. The two things that you should have while contributing to open source is courage and time. Courage that you should not be you should not fear any issue or anything, any tech stack. And time is that you should give yourself time. You won't learn contribute to any organization in just 5 days or 6 days. It could take time, but you should be rest assured that you would get the fruit. You'll bear the fruit of the hard of your hard work that you put in. So that's my advice that I'll give to newcomers.
Right. The next question, like how to ensure that I'm ready to contribute to Google Tomorrow Code.
Uh, so, uh, so I'll answer this question. Are you ready to eat food right now or drink water? So this is a question like that. So you are never ready. I made my first pull request by writing code in Notepad. If you tell any open source of that, he'll laugh at me probably. So there is no right time, as long as you just need to find the project that you're interested in. Suppose I need to contribute in Kubernetes if I want to, and I do not know anything about Go. So definitely that's not the right time to contribute in that project, because I do not know anything about that. So first get the relevant the bare minimum relevant requirements, and then you are more than ready to contribute to any organization you wish to contribute to. So that's basically when you are ready. I mean, you're ready, you can contribute to any organization at any time. Coding, because there was an organization I remember, it said that recognize all contributors, not only the one that push code. So it's not necessary that you are pushing code in open source. That's only how you're contributing to it. You can improve documentation, or enhance the markdown, the syntax, or do other bunch of stuff. So it's not mandatory that you contribute in code, but there are a lot of ways to contribute to open source. So you are ready, whenever you feel you're ready, not ready, but you're always ready to contribute to open source. That's what I'd say.
Yes, exactly, Vyom. Now I have some general questions which I generally get. So if
Yeah,
you can answer, then it will be great.
yeah, sure.
Like, the question is DSC required to do Google Summer of Code?
Uh, so, like DSA is required in programming in general. So, like if I'm making something, so what is DSA? I mean, DSA is overhyped. What is DSA? DSA is data structures and algorithms. You need buckets, or you need something to store your data in. If you have a list of numbers, you cannot just keep individual numbers. You need to make an array list. So what is an array list? It's a data structure. So the data structure is covered. Now coming to the A part, algorithm, you have to get a number in the array list. You traverse over the array list and get that number. So what is this? This is an algorithm. So DSA is over there. So you need not be an elite coder or a 6-star code chef coder or anything like that. Basic information about DSA is more than sufficient to contribute to open source.
So it's like, if you want to enhance your coding skills, then DSC is
Yeah,
required.
yeah.
But if you want to contribute to open source, there are many different tech stack which you can contribute. It is not just that you need to know about data structure algorithms,
Yeah,
right?
if you're contributing to CSS, like what's DSA and CSS, I am not a CSS guru or anything. If there is something, I'm sorry about that, but I have not seen any use of data structure in CSS. It might use internally, but you do not need to configure anything else or in HTML in general. So it depends on the field which you're going in. Some fields might require you to know a thing or two about DSA, but it's not sure. It's surely not mandatory. Yeah, probably.
So I believe there are no more questions.
Okay.
So that was pretty much about the podcast. Thanks a lot, Pram, for joining, and I really appreciate. It was a pleasure having you, and I hope you do your project successfully, and you come back to this channel soon.
Yeah,
And
sure.
for the people who want to connect with Vyom, all the links are in the description. You can check out that. So I will be providing all this information about Vyom, like his proposal, and all these things in the DeCodeCafe GitHub organization page. So please check out the description for that. And I would like to tell you more about this 12-day open source cafe workshop that we are organizing currently. So in this thing, we are calling 15 to 20 GSOC organization students, and they all are from different domains. So they will be guiding us how to get started with open source contribution in a particular organization. So like for Checkstyle, we have Vyom. The next day, tomorrow, we will have some another student from different organizations. So stay tuned for the next 11 to 12 days. So you can learn more about organization, and then you can choose that which organization best suits me. And these are not just the 15 or 20 organization. You have to investigate on yourself only. These are just the organization that we have called on our on our channel, so that you can learn more about the diversity in open source. So stay tuned, and we will meet in the next podcast. Yes, Vyom.
Yeah, and thanks Rahul for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking to you, and all the best to you. You are also a G Soccer, and
Thank you.
hope you complete your project successfully. Right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Looking forward
joining. Yeah.
for joining. Right.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.